Alright, I would like to respond to a question that somebody had in the academy about what to do when a particular thing happened. Let me show you what that thing is very quickly. This room is 128 units high. Now watch what happens when we change this to 256. Alt-E to enter the editor. I go over to Domains, shift up top, 256, press enter, and now I'm going to press Alt-E to switch. Didn't do it. So now we're going to have to save this. So Alt-S, Alt-L, Alt-E. Okay, the curtain now, instead of stretching, as one might think it would do, is doubled. This is actually called tiling. The texture has tiled to fill in the available space. There's a very easy fix for this. We ran into this, I don't know how many years ago, but we ran into the same problem and we solved it in this fashion. If we go into the editor, I go to the walls, and we're using Curtain 02S. If you notice, there's these strange GLW 128 and GLH 128. Well, the W is width and the H is height. These are 128 by 128. Now, if you go up to curtain 2, doesn't seem to be any change. I click here, click here, click here, click here. The curtains look the exact same. Well, they are sort of, but they're not. This one, if you look closely, it's a GLW 256, and this is a GLH 256. It's a taller texture. So we're going to select OK to select the taller texture. Let's save this. Load it, leave the editor and go into view mode. Now your curtain is fixed. We didn't stretch it, we're just using a texture which is designed for 256. Why didn't we notice a problem with the sidewalls? Well, we didn't notice this problem with the sidewalls because when those tiled, we decided that we liked to have the row of rivets down the center of the wall. If we wanted this wall to duplicate the effect of only having rivets at the top and only having rivets at the bottom, we would have noticed the same problem. In this case, it also tiled. The floor, for example, those are textures that are like 128, and they're just a checkerboard of a dozen of these graphics tiled to fill the area. So the answer to your question is, oops, here we go. The answer to your question is, look at these little numbers down below. That tells you the width of the texture, which is quite significant when it comes to things like room height. You'll notice this is 256. There is a where is it? That's the 04V, so we want 04H. Let's select that texture. So we say yes to that. We can put that in by hand now that we know it, and change this one also to 04H. Save, load, and now this wall has rivets top and bottom, which duplicates the look of the other. So in many cases you'll find that we've created textures to be used in different circumstances, which, as an aside, the engine has a long history once upon a time it really could not tolerate, in fact all engines could not tolerate textures that did not follow certain boundaries. And 128, 256, 512, those natural binary numbers were important. So you will not find a lot of textures that are 196 by 196. They tend to be 32 by 32, 64 by 64, 128 square, 256 square. So if you're building a room that's, say, 196, it works great if you're using a texture that's uniform, but if you want a special texture like the curtain, you'll have to do special things to make that work. Just forewarning you, that's something we'll address later. I would say 3 to 6 months for that. Alright, hope this answers your question, and if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to email or use the forum on Blue Line Academy or drop a message on the Blue Line channel.